This is the M6P with your host, Andy Kirby.
And Jared Mayo.
You know, I wasn't sure about that intro music, but it has definitely grown on me, man.
Good, I like it.
Well, we're in agreement, finally.
The only thing this episode.
I doubt that. I bet we will agree a lot this episode. All right, so this is the M6P. Welcome to the podcast. We are sponsored by DCB Service, Discount Comic Book Service, dcbservice.com. Go there, get your pre-orders. We got a lot going on tonight. We got some voicemails, so we're going to head right into it. Anything else you want to say before we go into it?
We're also sponsored by Community Retail Partnerships, crpsavings.com, and Michael Webb Solutions, michaelwebbsolutions.com.
You can find us on social media, the M6P. Email us, m6pllc@gmail.com. And Marvelous Box. Go sign up for the Marvelous Box, them6p.com. Get your subscription. We're going to be closing it real soon. Do we have a date that we're closing that?
The middle of the first week of June.
Okay, all right. So we don't have a hard date. We'll try to keep it open as long as possible, but go there and subscribe. Let's hit our first voicemail from Frank.
Hey, the Andy, Kirby, and Jared of Marvel 616. I'm sorry, 616. This is Frank. Just wanted to check in with you guys, let you know I've been listening to some older shows, and it's making me laugh a lot. Really enjoy the show. Finally have time to listen to some. So, anyway, I have a question for your next show. I probably asked you this one on like Twitter or whatever. Was wondering, I guess, what are like the definitive runs of like the last 40 years, like prior to 2000, for like Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, all those guys, similar to what Claremont's run for X-Men would be, like a really long-running good arc when it started to get really good, for all the like the old classic ones, you know. So the other question I have is, what's been going on with the Eternals lately? Remember a few years back there was Neil Gaiman and JR did a run, and I read the trade for that a couple of times and really, really liked it. Thought it was a really interesting take on those guys, and wondering what happened since then. I know the Gold Celestial showed up in the X-Men books when they were in San Francisco, and I don't remember anything cool happening with that. So I guess what's been happening with them, and why didn't Marvel go with them to replace mutants instead of the Inhumans? Because I thought, you know, the Eternals were maybe a little more interesting than Inhumans. So anyway, I love the show. Keep it up, you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
All right, I got to say, Frank, loaded question. First of all, thank you. Sorry that we haven't gotten to this yet in what appears to be 2 months. So I'm pretty sure you're not still listening. You probably are like, these guys. Also, if I'm not mistaken, Jared, this is our listener who has written a novel. Frank, if you want us to talk about that novel, call in again and we'll give you a plug. I think we plugged it before, but if we're not supposed to talk about it, you know. So, definitive runs, and then also what's going on with the Eternals. Do you have any thoughts on these definitive runs pre-2000?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a 90s guy, so while other people are upset about, you know, the overuse of pouches and weird haircuts and things like that.
The overuse of weird haircuts? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I grew up on, you know? So that's kind of my bread and butter. I like that stuff. A lot of people don't like the 90s stuff, but that's all I can give you. So for me, some definitive runs were like Roger Stern's run on Spider-Man. I know that was a little maybe before the 90s, but it was good. Also, like when Peter Parker Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man, they kind of went back and forth. Every other issue was in the other volume. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. That's right around when they relaunched Volume 2. Yep.
I really like those books. Of course, Maximum Carnage. Like those three things are like my Spider-Man go-to. Iron Man by Busick was excellent. I really enjoyed Avengers by Jeff Johns. That's
Jeff,
what I would recommend.
now that was Jeff Johns was right before Bendis jumped on, right?
Maybe it was, but for me, that's what I'm gonna go with.
Okay, yeah.
Like the Avengers stuff was, I remember Heroes Reborn, and then even after Heroes Reborn, I just couldn't get into that. And before that, I wasn't into it. Like with the brown leather jackets and everything. Those were for the X-Men. Those were not for the Avengers.
I remember, let's see, Hulk. Peter David's run is highly acclaimed. His original run. Peter David's run also on X Factor is supposed to be really good. Let's see, Iron Man. You got Extremis, which that was post 2000, but that's supposed to be a really good run by Garth Ennis. No, I'm sorry, Warren Ellis, not Garth Ennis. And I'm trying to think, Brubaker's run, like everything I'm talking about is post 2000, I guess.
Yeah, you need to listen to the question.
Yeah, I know. I just need to go back and read all those things. You love Mutant Massacre, right?
Well, yeah, but he said that he knows about Claremont's X-Men stuff. I mean, if he wants me to answer X-Men stuff, we could just devote a podcast to that.
Well, we might have to one day. All right, his second question, though. What's going on with the Eternals? Okay, we listened to this voicemail previously, and I could have sworn that I saw an Eternal just hanging out being mind-controlled while somebody was getting beat up in one of these books recently over the past, 3 months. And I cannot, we searched the Googles, the Bings, the Yahoos, and I cannot figure it out.
I even got on Lycos.
I don't know what that is, but that sounds terrible. That sounds like you over-medicated yourself. I got on Lycos.
You don't remember the Lycos search engine? Or Excite?
No, I know Dogpile.
So, sorry, Frank, but Marvel doesn't care about the Eternals right now.
Which is really interesting because the Eternals and the Inhumans are connected. I mean, they go into Marvel history. So, I mean, obviously just go read Earth X. That's my answer for everything. Okay, all right. So we got our next voicemail, and somebody went on a little rant, a friend of the show, and it got cut off, thank goodness. So we're going to go ahead and listen to that one right now.
Hey guys, this is Sean Shearschmidt up here in Dayton, Ohio. And I just have to say, there is a definite reason I'm breaking kayfabe right now. I'm sorry I don't listen to all of your podcasts all, one by one. I listen to them all in a big group, kind of like some people just go through their Netflix or whatever, watching 70 episodes in a weekend. Well, I don't listen to 70 episodes, but I do listen to about 10 at a time. And anyways, I just got done listening to your guys' take on Deadpool, and I was pretty sad. I was pretty upset. Really, the only reason that I went to go see the movie was because Colossus was in it. And I knew that there was going to be, a lot of, let's say, questionable content. I was willing to overlook or do whatever, to watch a good, solid story on Colossus. Because, I mean, let's face it, he's not really had, a whole lot of screen time. The spotlight was directly on him. And he is, anyways, I'm not going to preach a sermon on the greatness of Colossus, but I will say that, he was the moral character for the movie. He was essentially, Deadpool's leash. He was the one to kind of keep him within bounds. And to see him just get knocked out, knocked around, and, he was essentially, trying to be a guardian and a role model for this teenage girl. And, she was able to smirk and roll her eyes at, essentially a father figure getting beat up and tossed around. And Deadpool was able to just kind of have his way, and at the end, his way worked and Colossus's way was proven to be wrong. Let me tell you something. That right there, that's sad. And I do hope that Colossus gets his own movie. I really don't see it happening now, but I would love for him to get his own, you know, whether it be him coming over from Russia to the U.S., whether it's him in a big fight against Omega Red. You know, I just very upset, and I felt cheated out of my time and my money. Yeah, it was a funny movie, but Deadpool's antics to me were on way over on one far side of the ditch, and Colossus's character and
I would just like to point out that we didn't cut him off. That's Google Google Voice. You can call us at 616-755-TINA, but there is a 3-minute limit. So, Sean, dude, the thing that cracks me up about this voicemail, like, first of all, I know he's serious because I know how much this guy loves Colossus. But the thing that cracks me up, he's like, and he was just able to smirk it off, and let me tell you something. Like, that's not right. Like, and Sean, we touched on that, I think. We even talked about how he was the moral figure, and it was good to, I mean, it was cool to make fun of the morals in that movie. So
yeah, and we agreed that Colossus was kind of like not powerful at all. Not the Colossus that we wanted to see. Visually, he was perfect.
Right. So, anyway. All right, we got one more, and then we're going to hit some books. So, let's check this out.
Stop being mean to the 12. It was a good series.
Then that's it. Stop being mean to the 12. It was a good series.
See, I wasn't even going to say anything. I was just going to say, all right, let's keep going.
All right, caller. I agree with you. I think it was a good series. It's a shame that JMS didn't get a chance to finish it. So it had to be finished by somebody else.
Because no one wanted to read it. It was boring.
It was good. I enjoyed it. Okay, so what books are we hitting tonight? Which one you want to do first?
We are going to look at Civil War Zero and Captain America, Steve Rogers.
Captain America, Steve Rogers, or Steve Rogers, Captain America? What are we doing here?
What do you want? I mean, it can be whatever. This is the all-new, all-different Marvel, baby. All
right, well, let's do the Captain America, Steve Rogers first.
All right. You literally just finished reading this before the podcast, didn't you?
I did, yes. I had to purchase this thing on the fly.
So, Phil, you're like fresh. How do you feel?
I am. There's so much in this comic that does not work. So tell me, are we in agreement?
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
Okay. First of all, I'm glad he's young again. The costume is okay. The shield is awful. And with the light beam razor blade thing, what is going on? And they're like, okay, so Winter Soldier and Cat Falcon were not in this comic at all, but they were on the cover. Sharon, she's 103, but still wearing a skin-tight outfit. You know, it's like...
Right? But on the cover, she didn't look that old.
I know, but I'm looking at it right now. She's got jowls, man. It's true.
Yeah,
okay, so at first I had high hopes when we delved into this, and it was the 1926 and everything. And, you know, when Remender did it about the dad being a scumbag, I don't know if we saw that before that part, but I don't like that. I like to think that Steve came from a very functional family. And this was cool. Like, some of it was cool. The Rick Jones stuff, not cool. Seeing Captain America young beating up people, that was awesome. I actually really enjoyed the scene with Red Skull when he's talking to people, and that the art actually looks the best here. The rest of the book, it just does not fit. It doesn't fit Captain America, but Red Skull looks cool. Trying to think what else here. I mean, bringing Free Spirit and Jack Flag in here, it hurts me because I really like Jack Flag. And this was like a terrible portrayal. The best portrayal of Jack Flag is in Thunderbolts during Civil War.
Well, I don't know, he's just kind of a character that's brought into as an
Like,
end to a means.
yeah, fodder. Just well, yeah. Even in Civil War, he was too. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, he was there. He was in Thunderbolts. He was here.
I thought it was cool how the kid who had the suicide vest or whatever. I liked his story better than Cap's actually. Did it ever explain how Sharon is back? I thought she was dead.
Well, I just wondered why she was so old.
Is it because like she was caught in Dimension Z and that time runs differently there? Is that why?
Well, I think you and I discussed previously that if we're going to get on here and ask a question that we don't know the answer to, we have to make sure the other one knows it so it looks like we know what we're talking about.
No. We didn't really fully discuss that. You just mentioned it before, but I think I can't break that habit. All right. So, what did you think about the payoff, the ending, spoilers? What did you think about it?
Oh, are we going right there? Is there nothing else that you didn't dislike?
Well, the pacing was rough. It was like a 34-page book or something. It had extra pages. I usually like Nick Spencer, but I'm telling you, for these serious characters and these serious books, the added humor does not work. The pacing for this was all off. It was like the end of a story and then a little bit more and then, okay, well, this is the end and then a little bit more and then maybe there's two stories. I don't really know what's going on here. But the art was not good. It was not a good match. But that's all. Those are all my complaints.
Really? There's not one other complaint? Anything about how the villain was?
How Zemo was?
No, Red Skull. Did he remind you of a certain figure that's a real life person?
Are you talking about a certain presidential candidate right now?
Yeah.
I think that most of that's just rhetoric. If you actually listen to what he says instead of just what the news says, I don't think they sound similar. But to your point, though, I think that he does sound similar to how the news portrays him. Yes.
Well, I mean, it was like they basically had Donald Trump as the villain with a red skull on his shoulders. Because if you identify with his platform and then you see Red Skull, you're like, wait, I agree with everything he's saying, but it's Red Skull, so I shouldn't.
That you have a point, because usually they don't have the dumb character or the villain speaking truth in a comic. They say, oh well, consider the source. Like if they insult a people group, you say, oh well, which character said it?
Yeah, exactly. So I was just like, I'm more conservative in my thought process, but I was just like, I agree. Like, yeah, if they are coming over and taking something of ours, we should not let them. Oh wait, that's coming out of Red Skull's mouth,
Yeah.
But not only that, but yeah, okay, so there's that, and then like you said, the payoff at the end.
Okay, well, I mean, if you want to talk a little bit more about the politics of it, this is what I expect from the comic book industry. The comic book industry is notoriously a social justice warrior, very liberal, and so that made sense to me. Now, when I did read what he was saying about the refugees and about, protecting people coming in versus protecting your citizenry, I think that a lot of that has to do with what an individual says about their what is the true reason for government. Like our government should be protecting its citizens, right?
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be protecting other people's citizens. However, in this global or other nations' citizens, I mean, you can, but that's not first priority. But in this globalized culture, with the UN and humanism and humanitarianism being for the first and foremost, the philosophy and ideology has shifted to humankind. Every government's job is to protect mankind. And so if you take that as your viable philosophy, your underlying principles, then that is that's diametrically opposed to what Red Skull is saying. But if you say, well, no, the U.S. government should look out for U.S. interests and U.S. citizens first, well, then that is what Trump says and what the Red Skull is saying, and then you're going to side with him. But
when has this ever been the Red Skull's platform, though?
Oh, I don't think it has. I think I mean, when I read this, I didn't think he was being serious. I thought he was just saying whatever he could to get them on his team, his side.
But it's almost word for word verbatim of what Donald Trump is saying right now. So I think it was very much more intentional than maybe what you thought it was. So do you think the payoff then, like, all right, we talked about the Trump Red Skull and everything else that was horribly wrong with this issue. The end. Andy, tell me.
I probably won't read issue 2. It's just not possible. Like, he has not waited all this time and waiting till the end of humanity in Hickman's run of Avengers to wait until now to talk about to talk about Hydra and I mean, why would it matter now? Because, I mean, he's had the Cosmic Cube in his hand before. He's had the Infinity Stones in his hands before. Unless this is part of the new universe that Reed Richards and Franklin created and made him part of Hydra, then it's not true. So, I mean, I'm to the point now where I have so little time, I'm choosing to ignore these things. Like, it can't be true, and so if I don't want to read about it, I'm not going to read about it.
Yeah, you're right. Just wait until the trade comes out and read how it was resolved, you know? It's kind of like with Steve Rogers being old. We know eventually he's going to be changed to young.
Yeah. It was... the reason why I wanted to talk about this one first is just because this was so disappointing. I read this one second. I mean... Civil War II was really good. So, did you have anything else on this one?
Oh, well, my friend Chris Joby, I was talking with him about it. He's not a huge comic book guy, but he said, you know, this kind of represents kind of where we're going as a society, you know. There are no more superheroes anymore. Like, you can't identify with a hero because somehow everybody needs to be tragically horribly flawed that you can't look up to them. And also his point was that it's very much in vogue to be unpatriotic. And when you take America's symbol of patriotism and say, yeah, everything you knew about them was just an absolute lie, it kind of goes with where we're going in many ways as a society. The other thing he brought up was, I know that's kind of a loaded thing, but we don't have 30 minutes to talk. And the other thing he brought up was the whole Thor's hammer, which surprised me. He said, you know, Captain America in the comic books can lift Thor's hammer because he's worthy. So if he has been a Hydra mole for all these years, he would not be worthy.
That's a good point.
Like, that's excellent.
Wow, and he doesn't read comics that much?
Yeah, I was like, bro, do you read books? And he said, no, I'm just a little more in the know than the average moviegoer.
Huh.
Hey.
No, that's a good point. And to what you're saying about him being the symbol of patriotism, the thing, and my daughter even says this, she says, I like Captain America because he always does what's right. He always does. And, you know, a lot of people think that Superman's a very boring character because he's invincible but he's always trying to figure out what's right, and so is Captain America. And that's the big thing I didn't like about him being old, is because he was a different character. He was some curmudgeon guy that tried to put the kibosh in everything and was out of touch, and that's not who Steve was. Even if he gets old, he's not going to change who he is. He's always going to do the right thing.
You're absolutely right. It was a different character.
So,
but he sure was a muscular old man.
Yeah, are you going to read issue 2?
I'll probably read issue 2 just to see, like, what happens next. But after that, like, what's the point?
I got you. Okay.
You know?
All right, let's cram in some Civil War. Civil War
Civil
2,
War.
number 0.
Yeah, to me, it was kind of boring, but I thought the art was beautiful.
This book was boring?
Yeah, not a whole lot happened. Like, okay, I know there's the whole political, you know, ramifications and stuff like that, but really, you know, there was just a bunch of talking. But beautiful artwork.
Yeah, I didn't know Coipel was going to be on this book. I thought it was going to be Marquez, unless Coipel just did issue 0.
Oh, he's just like one of the top 5 of all time. Beautiful art.
I love the courtroom scene. I mean, the art was the highlight of this book, but it was just nice to see Bendis play with some of these characters. I like his his dialogue, you know. One thing that did strike me though is that Rhodey is wearing an Air Force uniform, but in the page it says he's a Marine.
Well, you said you really like Bendis.
Yeah, well, he didn't do the art, right?
Oh, well.
So I blame Quick.
I don't
What,
think.
what do you think of them? What do you think of them telling Rhodes that he wants Secretary of Defense?
I don't know, because I've heard that he's going to be the one that dies, so maybe it's just a setup.
Do you think that Cap Falk will die, and maybe
No.
that's how he'll get his shield back?
No, the rumors have been that it's going to be She-Hulk and War Machine. So we'll see.
What do you think about the whole Inhuman thing element to this?
I'm very much over it, but it's the whole catalyst to the Civil War. They forgot that there's other precogs out there, but this one is very important. I mean, Blindfold is a precog, and she's as far as I know, she's with Storm. There's been a ton of precogs out there. This is not new.
Well, what are you talking about a precog in this issue? I mean, this had nothing to do with precognition, right?
Well, yeah, he woke up from the cocoon and he saw the future on the last page.
Oh. I thought that's just what it was. Like, he destroyed everything. How did you know that was the future?
Well, because he wakes up in the cocoon, out of the cocoon, and then he sees the girl that he liked come out of the cocoon too, and she's a monster. And he sees what the future holds.
Where in the world are you getting that that's the future? How come it isn't just happening?
I don't know. Just not.
I thought for sure like this was what was going on, and like they destroyed the entire city by an explosion or something.
I am 99% sure that is not what happened.
Okay.
Now, one of us is going to feel silly listening to this podcast when the next issue of Civil War 2 comes out.
Yeah, well, that's true, but I mean, there's nothing that tells me on that page that it's, hey, I'm seeing a glimpse of the future.
Well, I used to be a teacher, so I have to, anticipate things and kind of use my context clues to guess what the kid was going to try and pull over on me next,
Context clues. I should have known.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Doc Samson and Carol.
Yeah, did not. More talking, more boring.
The talking is the best part for me.
Talk when you fight. Be Spider-Man and Deadpool.
That cracks me up. All right, what do you think about Maria Hill? When did she just turn into just this disgusting character that you're like, I hope she dies?
Yeah, it's a shame because she came when she first appeared, she was snarky but she was tough, and you were kind of in her corner because she was the underdog, and she really had everything against her. And now you really are just go away.
She seems like just the easiest villain in this, hey, we need somebody who's kind of like Tony, but not Tony.
She reminds me of what Professor X was the past 5 years, the 5 years before he was killed off.
You mean just how she's acting, or what happened to her character?
Yeah, both. She just does all this bad, morally ambiguous stuff that she didn't used to do, but now she did, and we're finding out she did other things that you didn't think she did. So, yeah, she sucks. She's awful.
So, yeah, she sucks.
I used to like her. Okay, I guess now she's a morally deficient person and wants to kill everybody for her own means.
Well, I'm looking forward to issue 2. I thought this was really good, and it really I have not read a comic and sat down to say, okay, I'm going to read one I'm looking forward to, and I sat down and did that with this one, and it was fulfilling. I really liked it, and I was like, man, this is what it's about. This is why I read comics,
Well, I'm looking forward to issue 1. I think that's probably going to be better to read before issue 2. I'm not going to skip over it.
Okay, jerk.
Which should be good. Yeah, I'm really looking... I'm not really looking forward to it, but I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Okay. All right. I think I'm down to just one X book, by the way.
Which one?
Uncanny.
Whoa, you're not doing Extraordinary.
No.
Or Extraordinary, whatever you want to say.
Extra, it's very extraordinary. Put more ordinary in there.
Well, I read today's issue. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, see, I'm going bare bones, man. I mean, I don't have an Avengers book. We'll have to hit the highlights, but, as a pool list, I don't know.
Well, announced today, I know we're going over time, but announced today, in July, Marvel will reveal their new books for the upcoming Marvel Now line.
Oh, well, I mean, they need something because the Monsters of S.H.I.E.L.D. is gone.
But it's literally called Marvel Now.
Marvel right now. Marvel, like, this second.
Like Marvel Now 2. I don't know.
Yeah. Marvel, we did this before.
Yeah, Axel's big thing is that he wants comic books to be seasons like TV shows. Yeah.
I've said this before. That's good for me because I don't have a lot of time right now. And so the big story, when he leaves, I'll have time to read the stories when the next guy comes.
Time to go, though. Come on, Axel. Head out.
All right, and speaking of time to go, let's wrap it up. DCB Service, Discount Comic Book Service, DCBService.com. Go there, get your pre-orders. 40% off your Marvel comics. 40% off cover price. Why wouldn't you do it?
Also sponsored by Community Retail Partnership, CRPSavings.com, and MichaelWebSolutions.com.
TheMarvelousBox.com. Go there, sign up. We're going to be shipping the middle of June, the first mystery box that we have ready to go. Email us, voicemail 616-755-TINA. The social medias, you got us on Facebook, the tweeters, on Insta, Snap, whatever.
No Snapchat.
And YouTube.
Yes.
Yes. I've gotten a lot of good feedback about that, so keep that up. All right, and anything else?
No.
All right, man. This is the M6P.
Good morning, afternoon, comrade. Marvel 616 Andy Kirby. And Jared Mayo. This is Peter Rasputin, also known as Colossus of the X-Men. I'm calling in to tell you that I enjoy this country very much. Would really love to be able to tell the rest of the world of all of the great opportunity in this great country. I am not here to steal the work. I am here to put myself to work. And, of course, to survive all of the attacks of the Brotherhood of Evil and all of the mutants that are out there. Currently, I am on my way to save another pesky human from the attacks of Magneto and the others. But I did have to call in to tell you that I enjoy this podcast very much. And, as always, I love you, Andy Kirby. Keep up the good work as I go and preserve freedom, as I find my sister, Ileana!